About half of what Canadians eat is ultra-processed food, a category under increased scrutiny. This month, a group of researchers wrote a series for The Lancet outlining the dangers and what to do about them. For more on this, we're joined by Torah Kachur, who is a lecturer at the University of Alberta. Thanks so much for being here. This is a tricky one to sort of define for people. What are super processed foods exactly?
Yeah, ultra-high processed foods are things where you make food out of things that aren't food. That's the best way to describe them. You use ingredients that aren't in your pantry, that you look at and go, I don't even know, that's not on a store shelf. Even if I could cook, maybe you can't cook. You are making food out of things that aren't. So that's really, there's processed foods. Sauerkraut is processed. Bread is processed because it's using natural processes to change the food.
Gotcha.
But when ultra-high processed, we're taking food and turning it in mostly for profit.
Okay, so is that the sort of thing when you look at the label and you can't identify the things in the ingredients column? That's the kind of thing we're talking about.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to identify when you really look at it, and it's things that sometimes cryptically you don't realize are in fact ultra-high processed. Granola bars, breakfast cereal, flavored yogurts, things that seem outwardly healthy or not unhealthy. You know that pops and fries aren't healthy. But then you look at it and you're like, oh, what's maltodextrin? What's guar gum?
Sure.
What's potassium sorbate? And if you don't have those in your pantry, then it's ultra high processed. So it is there's ingredients you can't pronounce, it's ultra high processed.
Okay, so that turns out to be a lot of what people eat. What is the problem with this high processed food?
We're learning more and more, and the research, and that's part of what this Lancet series of papers is a call to action to say these are really bad for us. It's increased risk of colon cancer, thyroid disease, obesity, diabetes, all these things that are so prevalent. We also have issues with, and now these are correlations, so not causations. That's really important to distinguish. But we know that a diet high in ultra-high processed foods increase risks of everything from depression and anxiety, again, all the way to colon cancer. And that's mostly because of how much it disrupts your microbial balance. So the bacteria in your gut that keep you healthy, they're really, really important to keep you healthy. They love eating fiber. The bad ones love eating ultra-high processed foods, and that makes you unhealthy in a whole suite of organ systems.
Okay, now this can be really tricky for people at home because, as you said, some of these things are, in your mind, either healthy or not unhealthy. What can people do about this? Because there's a lot of this on the grocery store shelf.
There's a lot in the grocery store shelves. And it's hard because it's easy to say you should cook your salad, make your salad dressings from scratch. You should make your cakes from scratch. Make your own granola bars. We don't have time for that.
Yeah.
And I get it, and it's a convenience factor. So what we should really do is awareness, is know what you're eating, and recognize that that's an ultra-high processed food, and there are substitutes. There are granola bars that don't have all those ingredients that are not good for you. There are breakfast cereals that have that. There are, you could take a plain yogurt, muddle some raspberries in, and it's a healthier version of the flavored yogurt. So I think it starts with awareness, and then it's maybe once a week you walk through the grocery store, you go through your typical grocery shop, and then you just read the labels and go, okay, what's my sub for that? There are shop local is a very good way because your neighbor might be a better cook than you and they're at the farmer's market and they know what to make, but it's made of real food. Eat plant-based. That is something that tends to have lower ultra-high processed food footprint. And ultimately just try and find those substitutes where you can.
Okay.
And recognize that one of the biggest sources of cryptic ultra-high processed foods is the bakeries of big chain grocery stores. Almost everything in there is ultra-high processed. So go to that local bakery, look at the labels, and you can often find way higher quality food, tastes better in so many ways, and it doesn't have the ultra-high processing.
Okay, it is an important conversation. It's a big, broad one. Thank you so much for being here for some advice this morning.
You're very welcome.
Torah is a guest lecturer at the University of Alberta. She's also a radio host and hosts the podcast Tell Me What Happened, about people helping people.